All right, welcome back to Context Matters, where we skip the vanilla score recaps and get to the real flavor of the NFL preseason. Today, the Ravens make special teams look like primetime TV. The Raiders tie one up in Seattle, and we take a rapid fire lap around the league's biggest preseason storyline. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Let's go. What's up, Alex?
What's going on, Dre? That fired me up. I hope that fired everybody up. Let's get it. So we've been off this for about a month. It was a long moving process. I just went through a moving process, so that's why we haven't really had the time. But I am so excited to be back. I hope you are too, Dre. And we got a great episode for
I
y'all.
am very excited to be back. I'm actually excited because, now we actually got some real football content to fucking dive into. It's not just us trying to fucking put shit together just so we can, talk about some stuff. Now it's actually, we got real life games to refer back to, real life film to take from, you know. That's right. St. Broncos country, though.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like you said, we got real life games, and I know there always is a lot of people. It's like, it's the preseason. It doesn't matter. That is
It
true
matters.
when we're talking about the score. That's true. When we're talking about everything else, everybody's got to remember there's 90 people on every team in the offseason. There's 53 normally, there's 90, so it's not quite double, but I mean, it's plus basically 40, almost double, really. And there's a lot of people trying to make a team. It's a lot of people trying to make a team just around the league, not necessarily even with the team that they're on right now, but they're trying to put up tape for everybody around the entire NFL. So a lot of it matters.
So let's get into this. All right. First thing we're gonna do is recap, obviously, preseason week one. I would like, if you don't mind, to go ahead and start with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So the Baltimore Ravens defeated the Indianapolis Colts 24-16. Baltimore does what it do, winning the preseason. Got to talk about some players that stood out to me in this game. Obviously, in a return game, I got to give credit to six-round pick LeJohntay Western. He had a 17-yard punt return where he shouldn't have got nothing out of it, and then turned around and came back with another return for an 87-yard touchdown. He also had a 30-yard contested catch. So to be a small guy, coming from Colorado, nobody's really expecting him, especially in year one, to make a impact on offense. But he showed some ability, one, to make tough grabs, get open, and stretch the field. So shouts out to LeJohntay Western fighting for a roster spot, and it's likely going to come through special teams, and he definitely showed out in special teams. The next player I got to mention is a guy coming back from an ACL injury. He literally obliterated his knee. Last year, he returned back in the game action, but everybody could tell that he wasn't himself. The speed wasn't there. The cut ability wasn't there, or lateral movement, I should say, wasn't there. To be technical about it. Keith Mitchell showed some burst, showed that his speed is all the way back, if not faster, with a 22-yard run. He also had a 23-yard a 23-yard runs of 22 yards. That 22-yard touchdown, that 22-yard run led to a touchdown. The 23-yard run set up the 22-yard touchdown. Also, six-round pick linebacker Jay Higgins. Uh, the scouting report on Higgins coming out was that he's not going to be a three-down linebacker. He's mostly going to be a pass-down back, so third-down back. And he proved his abilities by sealing that game, covering, I believe it was a tight end that they were trying to get the ball to, but he caught a pick to seal the game for us. And again, the Ravens win 24-16 in that game. A lot of great things happened, but there was, with the good, some bad. If the Ravens thought they had a backup quarterback, they might need to check again. Both Cooper Rush and Devin Leary both threw interceptions. In their preseason debuts for 2025, I believe Devin Leary did end with a touchdown throw, if I'm not mistaken. But the backup quarterback play was horrible. It doesn't help when you got 300 plus pound men getting put on their ass, like Daniel Fa'alele loves to get put on his ass. So, I mean, I wish I had the clip right here to freaking share my screen and show you guys. It was horrible. Literally got put on his ass. I'm gonna actually try to go and find that. But I'm gonna let Alex go ahead and discuss the Raiders while I'm looking for that, because that was it for me. The QBs combined were basically 5 for 16 with 2 interceptions. I don't know. I don't think what's the name threw a touchdown. I don't think Devin Leary threw a touchdown.
Keaton
Yeah.
Mitchell, man. Shout out to Keaton Mitchell. He is one hell of an athlete.
One hell of an athlete. Shouts out to Keaton Mitchell for real. But yeah, so go ahead, Alex. I think that's it for the Ravens until we discuss week 2.
So of all the week 1 matchups, it feels like the Raiders Seahawks one was probably the most anticipated, about as anticipated as a preseason one can be. I mean, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, they go back to Seattle, and it ends in a way that pretty much every Seattle fan even is calling like a poetic ending, because not many wanted to see Pete lose. Nobody wants to. Seahawks fans don't want to see their team lose either. So nobody lost this way. Everybody loved it. This is a game that Geno Smith got the start. I mean, he did. I was going to say if you want to call it the start, but he did get the start. There's no other way to say it. But he threw 3 passes. He was in for 1 drive. He had 1 first down. It was a great play. He scrambled out of the pocket, threw a dart downfield, and Trey Tucker caught it. He was 1 for 3. Jacoby Myers had a drop. Jacoby Myers didn't drop a pass all last season. First pass in preseason on a screen pass, he drops. Hey, if you're going to drop him, do it in preseason, right? So whatever. Aiden O'Connell comes in after that, plays for 2 quarters. He did not look good at all. Threw 2 interceptions. Both interceptions were just horrible. Cam Miller comes in after that. Look, Cam Miller is the reason why this game was tied.
Miller, boy.
Cam Miller, the FCS champion quarterback. He played against Tommy Mellott, another Raiders draft pick in the FCS championship, and Cam Miller won it. And he's 6 for 7. He had a touchdown. Shedrick Jackson looked amazing. But yeah, this shouldn't have been a close game. Cam Miller is the reason why it was, and he deserves all the praise for this. Ashton Genty, everybody was awaiting this. 3 carries, -1 yards. Don't be concerned. Honestly, don't be concerned about this. Now, in my personal opinion, what I did not like about this was the Raiders. We all know Ashton Genty's famous stance by now. The Raiders are asking him to change it. They're asking him to get comfortable with the whole new setup behind the line of scrimmage. That's fine. But, give the guy more than 3 carries to get, used to that. Because what happens is you get -1 yards, and it's like, oh man, maybe this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for him to get used to it. These are live reps. It doesn't get better than this. This is a game that doesn't count. So it's the best reps you can get. You gotta give them more. I'm sure they will as time goes on. The bad in this game was the tackling, and it was horrendous. Now Pete Carroll has said, and this is true, that this was the first time all of the preseason stuff and camp and whatnot that the Raiders are actually tackling. So this was their first display of tackling all year, and you could see it. I mean, nobody could tackle worth a damn. A lot of rust, though. So you got a lot of things going on, like Jamal Adams, the safety, all-pro safety. He's not playing linebacker, and not just as a box safety. He's playing like a linebacker. He's actually playing linebacker. He's in the linebacker room. And this is something that a lot of people are excited about. JT the Brick, who's basically the Raiders' official radio personality, thinks that Jamal Adams can be a guy who locks down Travis Kelce. Not going to happen by any stretch of the imagination. I think that is a wild comment. I see Raider fans rallying around that like, oh yeah, that could happen. It can't happen. There's a reason why he got switched from safety to linebacker, and it's not because he can shut down tight ends in coverage. But Jamal Adams did look good. He did look good at linebacker, so that this is not a shit on Jamal Adams segment right here. Jermaine Pratt looked pretty good. He's the newcomer. I mean, they're all newcomers actually in the linebacker room. Devin White too. But Jermaine Pratt is the one guy who's going to lead that linebacker room. He looked pretty good. Other than that, there really isn't too much to talk about. It's a lot of it we're going to see in week 2. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to have to see in week 2 a lot of the things. This preseason game with the Raiders really left more questions than answers, to be honest with you. We just didn't see enough from the people that we were interested in, and I'm sure we'll see more in week 2.
As a football team can get. But if there were any reason for this team to flail, it'd be their right.
So we got the video?
We got the video.
Let's see this. This is actually reminding me that I probably should talk about the Raiders' offensive line too, because they did look bad. Not something I would worry about. Not something I worry about at all. It's all just Pete Carroll's talked about this too. They're still trying to figure it out. Like they're just rotating guys, seeing what works, what doesn't. This is not the final product. This is not something to worry about. Now, what's his name? Basitaki, I believe. He is an international pathway player. This is his first month ever playing this sport of football. He's a rugby player. This is his first month ever playing football. He played most of the game at guard in the preseason game. I mean, it's so funny because he looks like a guy who has never played football before. His technique, but he just plows through people. He just plows through people. If you have the creativeness to envision what he could possibly be when he gets refined, if he gets refined, I mean, you can see why Pete Carroll loves the guy, and Pete Carroll does love the guy. You can see all the excitement with him. Pretty fun to watch. So I would keep an eye on him.
Okay, so it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to share the video. I have to restart my Chrome app to enable the permissions, and I'm not going to do that because then I'm going to have to come back in here. Nah, we're not doing all of that. So if you need to see for yourself why you should be concerned, you can go to Twitter and search Daniel Fa'alele's name, and you will see multiple breakdowns of why it was a shitty rep. I'm just saying, I ain't never seen a 380-pound man get put on his ass that bad. That's all I'll say. And with that, and the Raiders' offensive line woes that Alex says not to worry about, we'll move on.
Yeah, we got a lot of things that happen around the league in week 1 preseason. Got a lot of
Yeah.
things that happen.
Around the league, quick hits. The New York Giants defeated the Buffalo Bills 34-25. Russ Wilson had some time in his game. He was pretty sharp. Jackson Dart, probably the second best rookie quarterback performance of all of the rookie quarterbacks this year. He had 154 yards and a touchdown.
Yes, Jackson Dart looked very good. He did.
Yeah. Russ had Broncos country watching like an ex checking your Insta stories.
The one thing about Jackson Dart, the reason why the Giants were so high on him is because you could argue of every single every single quarterback in the draft period, that he was almost looked the most comfortable playing the position, as in he looked the most, not necessarily pro ready, but mindset pro ready. Like he believed like, yeah, I'm pro ready, and the fundamentals showed that. Man, week 1 of preseason certainly supported that. Now it is preseason, so I'm not going to say this is proof that this guy's the real deal. Hell, I'm not even that high in the Jackson Dart fandom tier myself.
So
I'm just
I actually was very high on Jackson Dart. I thought Jackson Dart was the best quarterback coming into the league out of the draft this year, and all he did was just make me feel more confident in that. Went to the Giants, which is a pretty good organization for a guy like Jackson Dart because he can handle the chaos that usually playing for the Giants brings.
yes.
So and I'm not just talking about the on the field stuff, the off the field stuff, the media, the New York media, but the Giants don't really like to build O lines for their QB. Jackson Dart survived behind an Ole Miss O line that was not that great, So it's just like players that are used to certain situations that usually a team puts their quarterback through, like he just feels like that fit. And I'd have said the same thing if he'd have went to Pittsburgh because they kind of have a similar issue, So I think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I do like Jackson Dart. I'm just not. There were people who really thought like Jackson Dart, like you. You said that he was the best quarterback coming into the draft. Definitely not. But Jackson Dart was insanely overhated. Insanely overhated. The thing is, everybody was like, all he does is throw the ball quick and all this stuff. First of all, that's like a thing that NFL coaches praise in the NFL. Like Tom Brady, a lot of his game coming up was predicated around just that: get the ball out quick. I mean, Tom Brady was the best probably in NFL history at that. Recognize defense very quick, get the ball out very quick, and that carried the Patriots offense for some time, right? Probably for more time than it didn't. And that was Jackson Dart's specialty. That's what he was tasked at Ole Miss. I mean, Giants like that. And so, yeah, it's definitely a well-coveted specialty.
Yep. And up next around the league, we got the Chargers defeating the Saints 27-13. Trey Lance looked good running and throwing the ball in this game. We're starting to see Trey Lance develop into a pretty decent quarterback. Did you watch any of that game? Probably not because the Chargers played.
No, so I do like to watch the Chargers about as much as I can, but only so I can, get a feel of what's going on. But this is one that I did not watch now.
Okay. Let's see. We had the Steelers and the Jaguars. Steelers win this game 31-17. to 25. Travis Hunter, we saw Travis Hunter take some snaps on both sides of the ball. On offense, he did have a catch. It was for like what, 4 or 5 yards? Not much. But one thing I'll say is that little, catch and then quick turn around and get out that he used to do at Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
That shit ain't working in the NFL. That shit ain't working in the NFL. These guys aren't gonna miss too often. Like you might get a guy that don't really want to tackle like a Jalen Ramsey on that shit, but that shit ain't working in the NFL as consistently as it worked in college. So he's gonna have to really get open and create some yards after catch because that little catch it in the bread basket and spin out on him, that shit ain't working.
And that is true. That is true. But a lot of stuff happened in this game, and Travis Hunter was the big name for the Jaguars coming in. He did not leave the big name for the Jaguars after that game.
No, he definitely did not. You want to go ahead and give that one? You brought it up early, so I'm going to just go ahead and let you have it.
I mean, 70-yard field goal. It's doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen ever, actually. And I mean, this kick, everybody says it could have been good from 72. I think it could have been good from like 73, 74. This kick was absolutely insane, and it sucks that it's preseason, so it doesn't count. But in reality, what's different? Like the pressure, I guess you could say the pressure is different. However, if you're a guy who's not a locked-in starter, you could argue the pressure is even more so in preseason, because like you're fighting for everything right here. This is the biggest moment of your life. So I don't even think that is necessarily different. But I mean, just an insane kick that if this was the regular season, everything would still be the same, like I said, and this would be talked about for, all year. Play of the year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Justin Tucker actually won the play of the year for his kick.
Play of the year for that kick? At the ESPYs, yes, he did, actually.
Yes. So there, for reference, this was 4 yards longer than Justin Tucker's by distance. As far
and he
as
probably could have made it even further.
Yeah, and as far as how far the ball traveled, this might have been 8, 9, 10 yards further. Tucker's was 66. So to be fair, I'm sure Justin Tucker has kicked a field goal in his career that has traveled further than 66 yards, just like, going through the net, and it would have been good from even further. But this 66-yarder, the record, it bounced off the upright. It barely.
Yeah, I was about to say it barely made it.
Barely made it. It could have easily bounced the other way, for that matter, and not made it. But this was hit the back of the net from 70, and he knew it. He knew it as soon as he kicked it. He was like, "Oh, this is good." And it's just an insane kick.
All right, we had the Bears and the Dolphins also, much like the Raiders and Seahawks, finishing in a tie. Seahawks, not Seahawks. What the fuck? Finishing in the tie, 24-24. Tua was perfect in this game. Obviously, it's the preseason, so we're not going to get, crazy about that. But Tua was perfect. You rarely ever hear me say that I'm not a Tua Tagovailoa fan. But Zach Wilson, you're a backup quarterback, looking like a starting quarterback out there with 230s. Quinn Ewers was also solid. Got some QBs from this draft that are looking pretty good in the preseason. I don't remember Quinn Ewers' numbers. I didn't actually take notes on that. I just, had an overall thought. He was just solid. He actually balled the fuck out, if you ask me, because I did watch that game too. I was thoroughly impressed. I guess it's against 2s and 3s, so I should have been impressed. But I also thought that Quinn Ewers was one of the top quarterbacks in this draft as well. He did not go as early as I thought he was going to go. So there might be flaws that I don't know about. But I think that give it some time, Quinn Ewers might be a starting quarterback in this league. If not, he'll be a very good backup.
Yeah.
I think... No, we got a couple more we can go through. We already talked about Chargers and Saints. Steelers 30. Oh, we already did that. Bucks 29, Titans 7. Cam Ward very efficient. In his play, I think he went for like 4 for 7. He had like 60-something yards. But I don't know if he threw any touchdowns. I didn't actually watch most of this game, which kind of sucks because the Bucks is, my best friend's favorite team. So I did see my boy Sean Tucker go ham though. Sean Tucker is the Bucks running back. I am a huge fan of his. And the Bucks' whole running back room, minus Rashad White, because we've been trying to get rid of him for a long time. I'm a huge fan of, obviously a fan of Baker. He got that dog in him, so I don't think Baker played it down here. Kyle Trask looked really good. I did watch this game, now that I remember. What am I talking about? I did watch this game. Kyle Trask looked really good in his game, better than I've seen him look in any other games, as he has, played a couple of snaps in preseason games and late in some games. He looks like the game is slowing down for him. He's actually able to read the defense and find open receivers. So I was pretty impressed with that. But the run game, what you expect with the Bucks, because that's how they're built to run a football and play great defense, dominated the game. Obviously, Titans 3s and 4s versus Bucks 2s and 3s. So they should have dominated. Anything?
No, that's really it. A lot of these quarterbacks that dominated in the preseason, Quinn Ewers comes to mind, Zach Wilson comes to mind. These are guys that have, and both of them play for the same team.
Right.
These are guys that have always really had the talent. I know that people think that Zach Wilson got drafted so high off of one throw in his personal workout, the crossbody throw, which was an unbelievable throw. But I mean, it's at the end of the day, teams don't care about that, like that. That's just for show. But anyway, these are guys that have always had the talent, and they're Quinn Ewers, especially because we talked about Quinn Ewers a little bit. He's a guy that he has all the tools. He's always had all the tools, but physically, he's always had all the tools. But mentally, there does seem to be a blockage. There has seemed to be a blockage. I believe that's why he slipped. And Quinn Ewers, we often see in college, he's made some bonehead throws and decisions that are like, dude, you're too good of a quarterback for all that. And then he'll get in his own head, and then he won't make decisions that he probably should make because he has the talent to do so. And these are things that I believe has made Quinn Ewers slip, things that have made Zach Wilson not slip in the draft, but have made his stock in the NFL slip greatly. Trey Lance as well, another guy that you talked about. He has all the talent in the world, but he's had a big mental blockage. A lot of that could be from lack of reps with Trey Lance, but all the same, a lot of blockage. We're seeing that blockage go away in preseason. Now, is that because it is preseason and they feel like, well, I can do whatever, it doesn't really matter? Absolutely possible. But it is a good sign for these guys, nonetheless, that they have put this on tape for them to go back and look at, for coaches to go back and look at and be like, hey, like what happens when you play free? You want to know what happens when you play free? Look at this tape right here. You have the talent to do this. This is what you should be doing. This is what you can do. This is what you have done. This has led to success, proven success versus NFL talent. It might be 2s, 3s. It's still NFL talent. And it gives them something to build on the mental side. And that's very good for young quarterbacks.
Agreed. Jets, Packers. Jets win this game 30-10. Justin Fields looked really, really good. He looked very in sync with his weapons. I mean, I think New York might be the spot for him. It's only preseason, but you still get to see like how comfortable people are in offenses or defenses and schemes in general. Let me say that. So you get to see how comfortable people are in schemes and whether or not they're overthinking or just playing. Like with how quickly Justin Fields was getting the ball out of his hand means that he understands this offense, as well as probably you could at this point. He's only been in the system for a couple of months now. So the fact that he was, being able to read, get the ball towards the receivers as quick as he can. One of the things that made Tom Brady so great was how quickly he got rid of the ball. You can't sack a quarterback if the ball is gone. Right. And if Justin Fields can make that happen, in real games, then the Jets should be able to win a few more games than they won previously. Another blowout. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, nobody is lower on Justin Fields than I am. I don't think. I've been.
Jesus Christ. You hate these guys, don't you?
Justin Fields is a guy that I've never understood the hype around. Never understood. All that being said, what is it, like year 7 now? No, it's like year 5 or something. He did look very good in his preseason game with the Jets. His very first outing with the Jets, he did look very good. It's preseason. Does it mean something? Does it not mean anything? That's for whoever to decide. But what matters is, like I said before, now Justin Fields has something on tape that is proven to have success versus NFL talent. And if he's struggling or whatever, or he's doing something wrong, he can go back and watch it. Coaches can go back and show it to him and be like, hey, remember when you did this, when you played like this? That led to this kind of success. You have the talent to make that happen. So when you have that on tape, doesn't matter if it's the preseason, doesn't matter if it's the regular season, when you have that on tape and you can go back and visit it, coaches can show you it. That's such a great thing. And as much as I am,
Shador hurt.
Oh yeah, Shador got hurt. But as much as I am low on Justin Fields, lower than pretty much anybody. I never root for the downfall of these guys. I hope they all have success, you know?
Exactly. So, lastly, on the list of things to talk about, I just mentioned the guy's name because.
No, you did.
Did we already go through that?
The Browns, I don't think we went through the Browns game.
No, but that's not the last one on. I mean, that is the last one on the list, but that's not up next. All right, Broncos defeat the 49ers 30-9. Last three games have been blowouts. We had 29-7, 30-10, and then 30-9. Jesus Christ. Stidham, calm, sharp. Obviously, Bo Nix is the Broncos' starting quarterback. So Jarrett Stidham started this game for them. He played pretty well. I mean, there's not really much to talk about when it comes to this one. Obviously, Sean Payton smiling in cheat code like he usually do. But yeah, so let's get to the meat and potatoes of it all. Because the game I really want to talk about is the Browns preseason game.
Let's talk about it.
Hey, give me a minute.
Tell them what you got.
Tell them what I got. Obviously, Shador played really, really well. I forgot who they played. I didn't write it down.
Damn, I can't remember either. Oh, Panthers. They played the Panthers.
Yes. Browns versus Panthers. Again, Shador Sanders played really, really well in his game, effectively raising his stock. I don't understand why Shador is fourth on the QB depth chart here, but he was able to basically display what he did at Colorado. You know, he's patient. He makes good decisions. He reads his keys very well. Obviously, not the greatest performance of all time, but it was his first actual real NFL game where he hadn't even gotten first team starts prior to him starting this game. You know, and the only reason why he was in this situation is because everybody else on the roster was hurt. You know, so shouts out to Shador for doing his thing. Exactly what I expected from him. I mean, yes. I'm not really. I was not the one saying, you know, Shador is the best quarterback in this draft. I still don't think Shador is the best quarterback coming out of this draft. I think he's better than some of the guys that went ahead of him? Yes, I 100% do. But I thought Jackson Dart was the best quarterback in this draft. And then I thought Quinn Ewers was up there with him, and then Shador. You know, I don't even think Cam Ward is the best quarterback coming out of this draft, even though everybody else do. So we'll wait and see. But I'm standing on what I believe right now. So when it all plays out and I'm right, I can be like, I told you so. Just saying.
What I was going to say is, so not to be confused with, I didn't think Shador played well, because that's not true at all. I wasn't impressed. And the reason why I say that is because it's literally exactly what you said. You said it for me. It's what you expected. It's what I expected. The reason why I say that is because Shador was Shador in this game. Everything that has been in his scouting report from day one, his number one strength was always far and away his accuracy. It is far and away his strength. And I don't remember his first touchdown all that well. I remember his second touchdown, he fit the ball in a window around 4 Panthers defenders, and he just, over the middle, he just laced it in there. This is what Shador
was the second touchdown?
Yes, that was the second one.
Okay. Excuse me.
And that is what Shador was. That is what everybody, you know, should have known Shador for. It was the accuracy. It's everything else that, you know, wasn't a positive, or wasn't, when I say wasn't a positive, I don't mean to say everything else was a negative. I just mean, you know, not a strength. I should say that. Everything else I don't think was a strength. And that pretty much to me showed throughout this. I did notice plenty of times he held the ball for much too long. There was one play in particular where Nick Scorton, the second round pick for the Panthers, he took the wrong angle on Shador like twice on the same play, and he could have easily brought him down and hit him from behind, probably made him fumble. And Shador held the ball for like 15 seconds on this play. If that was anybody else, if that was a more polished veteran, even in preseason, Shador probably fumbles. These are things that you just can't do. And this was the biggest concern coming out of college. Now, I understand that these plays weren't every play. I understand that. But thank God they're not every play, because if it was every play, he probably wouldn't even be in the NFL right now, because that would just be more than unacceptable. But it's unacceptable that it happens at any clip at all. You know, like maybe if it happens once, it's whatever. But I mean, it was definitely a few times. And these things can't happen. But I am going to keep it on the positive side here, because at the end of the day, Shador played pretty well. And
14 of 23, 138 yards and 2 touchdowns for 106.8 QB rating.
Yeah, and that does need to be the bottom line, is that Shador played well. because he did play well. And, there's still concerns, but in the meantime, just don't focus on the concerns. The thing with Shador to me is I really feel like preseason, and Shador embodies this. Preseason is kind of the time where you can fit your own narrative about players, right? And you can kind of be right either way. If you're a
Yeah.
Shador supporter, you can be like, Shador played great. Shador did play great. And if you are a Shador hater, and we know that there were plenty of them, you could be like, well, Shador, he still has all these concerns. Shador didn't complete a pass over 15 yards, which is actually true. And you could be like, so,
And that's okay. And that's okay
it
because
is.
I don't need a guy throwing the ball, 100 yards down the field. If you score quick, then you give, especially in late game situations, you give the team time to come back and drop one right back on you. And two, you're not every drive is going to be, a 30 yard play in it to be able to do that. What I want to see from these guys is, can they orchestrate a drive? Because people don't talk enough about how hard it is to just go 14 plays 80 yards downfield. People don't talk about how hard it is to do that, to stay patient enough to not get greedy and try to get more than what the defense is giving you to be able to orchestrate a drive and go down the field. That's hard because if you're 14, if let's say you're 10 plays into a 14 play drive, you've had so much success and you're still not in the end zone. You start to press a little bit, as you get closer and closer. Why? Because once you get in that red zone, it gets tougher to score. So just to this same point, Shador's second touchdown, cross the middle of the field, over four fucking Panthers players. His first touchdown was to the back of the end zone. It was probably like an 8 yard touchdown throw with two defenders in the area of his receiver, and he put the ball only where his receiver can get it. I know he's not slinging it, 20 to 30 yards downfield, but being able to, one, put the ball in locations where only your guy can get it, on two red zone attempts for a touchdown. Like, I give a guy more credit for that than being able to complete a 30 yard pass.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Devin Leary completed a 30 yard pass, and he was shit in our game.
No, absolutely. And if you watch Shador in college, he can throw deep anyway, right? That's not
Yeah.
it's not a
And
secret.
still have the accuracy to put it to where only his guy can get it. That was my first time seeing LeJohntay Western on a fucking long throw from Shador, where he had to come behind him and make the catch.
Yeah. No, for sure. But yeah, like I was saying, preseason is kind of a way where you can kind of twist the narrative whatever way you want, and it kind of works to a point, right? In the end, I think we all need to agree that Shador is a 5th round pick. Well, that is a fact. He was a 5th round pick, and if this is any 5th round pick who doesn't have the hype Shador has, and they perform that way, every single fan is like, damn, that was a great outing, and that needs to be the bottom line. Shador is a 5th round pick, because just ignore the name value for a second. He's a 5th round pick. He performed like that. That is a win. That is a win. If you're a Browns fan, you have to be excited. If you're the Browns organization, you have to be excited. That's the bottom line. Now, the one thing that I don't like is the name value, because when we do have the name value back, it's like, Shador, greatest performance in the world, right? And the reason why this annoys me, and it might be because I'm a Raiders guy, is because Cam Miller had an unbelievable performance. 6 for 7. The yardage was, do I have it up? 6 for 7, 76 yards, a touchdown. He looked flawless. He was slinging it deep. He was doing everything right. And it's like, and he's a 6th round pick. And it's like, yeah, but who cares? Shador. And it's like, bruh, but like this Cam Miller kid was kind of hyped. I've gone through. I've watched all
Hey,
the.
shouts out to Cam Miller. Boy saved my ticket. I'm saying. Boy saved Aiden, whatever his last name is. Boy was trying to sell me, bro. Cam Miller said, "Nah, buddy, I got you. I can't get you the dub, but I'm gonna get you the push." Shouts out to Cam Miller.
He looked ridiculous, and he had a 4 yard rush. He looked ridiculous, and it's like, and to be fair, just off the top of my head, I can't really think of anyone else. But we talked about Quinn Ewers. There are tons of guys like this, and Quinn Ewers, I think, was a 6th round pick too. And if not, he was a 5th rounder that have had great debuts, and it's like, and nobody's talking about it because it's like, yeah, but Shador, the name value, like, which I get, and I can accept, because at the end of the day, like I said, Shador, 5th round pick, had that great outing. That's all you can say is like, damn, like for a 5th round pick, any 5th round pick has an outing like that, you're excited. No way around that. But that's really all I got to say about that. So, like I said, end of the day, great performance from him. Deserves applause.
All right, so pretty much at this point, I'm just going to give a overall review of what I saw from the preseason, and then you can follow it up, and then we're gonna take a quick break, come back, and then we got some new stuff to introduce to you guys. So for me, excuse me there. So for me, say one, I'm very very excited that football is back. Can't wait for college football to start, but NFL football is back. Overall, I'll say, B plus as a collective to all of the rookie quarterbacks that got to play. We really didn't talk much about Jalen Milroe, but he had a pretty decent outing. It wasn't, anything great, but again, he was a late round pick. You know, you can't expect too much from these guys who weren't drafted, in the first two rounds when it comes to quarterbacks. Those guys aren't really ready instantaneously to come out and ball for you right now, which is why they're later picks. They're pieces of Play-Doh that teams plan to mold into what they need at the position, or to mold around who they are so they can make that position or make their team better, whatever. But shouts out to all of the offensive lines that actually protected their quarterbacks. Y'all some real ones. The Ravens ain't got one of those yet. So let's pray we figure this out before we get to the regular season, because Daniel Fa'alele cannot be my right guard. Not getting put on it. I wish I could share my screen and show you guys that video, man. I'm going to get it to where I can set up where I can share my screen before we come back from our break, because I still need to show that video. Like, Fa'alele getting put on his ass like that is crazy, bro. You're 380 fucking pounds, my boy. You get stronger. Get stronger, bro. Shout out to Cam Smith and Cam Miller. Cam Smith, the Jaguars kicker, to kick the 70-yarder. Cam Miller, Raiders backup QB for now.
No, I think Cam Little is the kicker, and Cam Smith is the Dolphins cornerback.
Cam Smith. Did I say Cam Smith?
Yeah.
God. Cam Little and Cam Miller. Fuck the Dolphins. Shit, it don't matter. I don't really care what that kicker's name is. He's a kicker anyway. Kickers aren't people. The real shout out was for Cam Miller. It was just, a good reason to mention that 70-yard kick again.
Yeah, shout out to Cam Miller. I mean, he deserves it. It saddened me a little bit that as I'm going through listening to all the preseason recaps and stuff, because I do it too, because there sometimes there might be stuff I miss. People are talking about it and they have an interesting stat, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know that. It's like I do it, just do all my due diligence, and I didn't hear one single person talk about it, and it's like, damn man, this dude comes from the FCS. He's not even an FBS quarterback. He comes from the FCS. He balled out like that, and it's like, not one thing, man. That's sad. That's
I
sad.
think if he completed one of those last two drives and it ended in a touchdown to win the game, it would have got more news. But because those last two drives we couldn't finish, the one being ending in the field goal and then the one, we ran out of time. But I still just think the performance was great. Y'all were effectively gonna lose that game before he came in and just started freaking shitting on the Seahawks defense. And I don't care if it was the fucking practice squad guys that he was playing against, because fucking Aiden McConnell couldn't do shit against that defense. Couldn't do shit against that defense. I'm sitting there watching my ticket drown with this motherfucker in the game, and Cam Miller coming there and put on the Superman cape like, I got you, my boy. Appreciate Cam Miller. Shouts out to Cam Miller.
It should also be mentioned that Cam Miller actually got them into a game-winning field goal situation. Not that anybody cares because it's preseason, but
and DC got that bitch blocked.
54-yard field goal set up. He got the ball back with, I think, 30 seconds on the clock or something, and he was able to get them there. And it's like, holy shit, what the fuck? What can't this guy do, right? To your point, you might not have played against, the best competition, but it's NFL talent nonetheless, right? Dude comes from the FCS. What more could you ask for? And Daniel Carlson's kick was blocked and ended in a tie. But, I mean, Cam Miller did every fucking thing possible.
All right. You got anything else before we take us a quick break?
I think that's it with the preseason. I will say that I was so focused on the Raiders talk that I didn't really talk about Seattle. Jalen Milroe that you mentioned, man, he is everything that we knew about him coming into the draft. He pretty much showed during this game, being that when he has the ball in his hands, everybody is scared. Fans of both teams are scared of what this guy can do for you and against you. And he showed it, man, and especially with his legs, when he takes off, it's so... Lamar is so special, right? so special with his legs. Josh Allen is special with his legs. Jalen Milroe is different special than both of them. Not necessarily in a better way, but in a different way that's like, well, I haven't really seen anything like this before, because he's neither one of them. And oh man, when he
Yeah,
gets going,
he might be a little bit of both of them.
he might be, and when he gets going, and he has these cuts that are so run back esque. They're not long cuts, but they're just enough to get defenders off balance and go around them. And it's, man, when he gets going, I feel bad for defenders. But that's all I wanted to add, because I just talked so much about the Raiders side of that. Seattle, the reason why Cam Miller had to come back at all is because Seattle was dominant. Seattle, the whole team looked great until they
Yeah,
faced Cam
everybody
Miller.
that they played looked great until Cam Miller came in there. Cam Miller shut shit down.
Yeah,
He probably was out
absolutely.
there calling defense and everything because the defense got better when he came in too. We're going to take us a quick little break and we will be right back with something new to debut.
Excited.
All right, contextuals. We are back. And as you can see on my screen, I was able to not only find but share the clip of our guy, Daniel Fa'alele, getting rammed like a truck. So I'm showing that clip all the way through first, and then now we're going to break it down into parts really quickly. During his rep, Daniel Fa'alele, number 77 here, is who we're looking at, gets beat off of the snap. So as you can see, Daniel Fa'alele looks like he wants to give this guy a hug, which means that he's wide open for whatever the defender wants to do to him. This defender decided to put his hands on Fa'alele's chest and just drive him back, which ultimately led to 77, 380 fucking pounds hitting the ground. So I know it's a little glitchy there, but you can see the white of his hands, not even touching the defender. So he has no control over what happens to his body at this point.
Hold on, don't press play. Don't press play. I want to point out that if you look at every single person, running back included, except for 70, but we will talk about that in a second, every single one of them has the same stance. They're firmly planted in the ground. They're awaiting contact. Now, 70 does not, because he's backpedaling, so he is off balance as well. The only difference is with 70, he's not expecting contact, so that's okay. You can be off balance when you're not expecting contact. 77, he's not only expecting contact, he is literally engaged in contact. You could tell based on, you don't have to go back to the beginning of the play, but as soon as this ball is snapped, 77 turns. And the guy that he's engaged with, he was off to the side. Nobody was directly in front of 77. This was just a three-man front. There was, you got your two ends and you got your nose tackle, right?
Yeah. So one thing I want to say before you keep going with that is look at 72's legs,
yes,
right?
Firmly planted.
He is a little open now, but he's going to have some seconds to get his hand set before he's going to have to engage in contact. 77 knew as soon as this ball was snapped, he was going to pick up that guy that he's engaged with right now, and he should have had his hands already ready. I am going to run it back because I do want you to see what Alex is talking about as he's speaking it.
There's the front. So it is actually
you see
five.
where
It is five. But the two
70 is circled here with the defensive end. My fault, bro. 70 is circled here with the defensive end, but 70 is the tackle, right? And we have a guy out here on the outside that 70 is responsible for picking up. The only reason why they're circled in the same picture is because that's the defender that's going to engage with 77 here. All right, now you can say what you was going to say.
Yeah, so no, I was going to say that, my bad, I incorrectly said it was a three-man front, but the reason why I identified it as that is because the actual ends are so far outside that at first I thought they were linebackers. One of them actually is a linebacker. The other one is an end with his hands on the ground. But anyway, yeah, so what's going on with the guy that's circled is as soon as this ball is snapped, as you just showed, 77 immediately turns to that guy who is playing the end role. He's playing interior end. There's a difference between end and interior end, and he knows that's going to be his guy. That's why he immediately turns towards him. There's no one in front of 77 before the ball is snapped, but as soon as it's snapped, he turns towards him. He knows that's exactly how it's going to go. And based on the defensive alignment, I don't even think there a nose tackle. I might have been wrong about that too.
No, I don't see a nose tackle.
Yeah, all right. So I was wrong about the nose tackle thing as well, but it's neither here nor there anyway. The point was that there was no one in front of 77. That's where I was going with it anyway. The nose tackle is neither here nor there. 77 knows that's his guy, and the fact that there is no nose tackle makes it even more clear because there's no like, oh, which direction do I go? Which it would have been the center's job regardless, so it really wouldn't have made a difference. It's so clear that that's what's going to happen. And that dude, obviously, the interior end, he's not. So the outside end, I can't really show it on my screen, but the one where 70, who's going to be the tackle who's playing right next to 77, who we're focused on, the end.
Can you see my cursor?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is what he's talking about right here.
Correct. That end sets the edge, right? He's going to take a more widened approach around.
Yeah.
He's not going to go straight for a contact, which is exactly why 70 is backing up that way and why he can be off balance because he knows that's what's going to happen. There's going to be no point of contact immediately. So it's fine that he's off balance.
What that's called here, and the reason why that end is taking such a wide angle, and you see the same thing happening on the other side, is this is QB contained.
Yes.
So the defense is playing pass, and they're trying to keep the QB in the pocket. That's why they're spread like that. That's why there's such a gap in the middle. They're not worried about the run here. They don't expect run. This is a pass formation. They expect them to pass out of this formation here. So that's QB contained is why these edges are so wide and why you have inside edges and outside edges. These two guys are basically the inside edges. This guy and this guy are the outside edges, just so you guys know what Alex is talking about. All right, go ahead, Alex.
Correct. So 70, he can be off balance like that because he knows there's no immediate point of contact. Now, 77, first of all, with guards, there really is no doing that anyway because they're not the edge. You know, the tackles play the edge. So they're the guys that get ready for the edge setters. So guards don't really do that anyway. So it's just another reason why 77 never should have been in this position to begin with. Because you should always expect contact immediately from the guards unless it's a weird front and you see that, you know, the other side is getting most of the traffic and you're a free guy as a guard, then you might go back so you can protect the quarterback in case somebody goes by and you kind of play free. But that's not what's happening because as soon as this ball is snapped, as you saw, 77 is immediately turning towards this guy. Whoever the defender is, I don't know who the defender is.
Yeah, I don't know who they are but we can go back and show you again. Instant turn.
As soon as it's snapped, yes, he turns directly towards him. He knows instantly. That's his guy from the jump. You cannot be off balance.
Do it one more time because it's literally instantly. As soon as the ball snapped, he's turning.
Yes, you cannot be off balance because what happens when you are off balance, play the whole thing. You'll see exactly what happens. That's what happened. That cannot happen. That simply cannot happen. If you go down, first of all, you should never go down. But if you do go down, you take the guy with you. But he is so off balance, and the defender is not off balance at all because there's no reason for him to be, since the guard already was.
Yeah.
He doesn't go down at all. He barely even loses momentum. And this is going to end up in a Cooper Rush sack because how wouldn't it?
And I just want to take it through slowly because I want you guys to see how instead of staying firm in his stance, because he comes out in the right stance. This is the right stance. He comes out in the right stance. And then look how he gets wider and wider to the point where he's hugging the guy. And now he's off balance. Getting pushed back. And when you get pushed back, guess what? You trip over your teammate's foot. Now your ass is in the dirt and your quarterback is under pressure. And as we all know, Cooper Rush is a pocket passing quarterback. Situational awareness may be in question here. I wish there was a way to know, how aware Cooper Rush is, but I'm going to play this out because it ends in a sack.
Yes, and
now, if that's Lamar Jackson, we might have a chance. But with Cooper Rush back there, if Daniel Faalele is playing like that, like, give me a hug, buddy. Come on, let's go for a ride. Like, he went for a trip. Shout out to Nick Mason, British Raven. This is his video on X. I still call it Twitter, but, for purposes unknown to me, I have to say X. So shout out to Nick Mason. Thanks for having this video available. Nick, like myself, in his caption said, I am no expert analyzer, but this does not look good. And just to run it back through because we talk so much about it, but seeing it in real time, like it's insane
Run it
how
back one more
quickly
time.
he's beat.
Run it, pause it like right at contact if you can, because I
For
want
the
to.
quarterback or
Uh, for yeah, when he makes contact with the defender. So right about here, that's a perfect place to pause it. Actually, where you paused it before, that is so perfect. Um, so before where you paused it, it was actually like a frame ahead. That's fine. You don't got to worry about that. Yep,
right
that's
here.
that's great. That's great because something you said that he may have tripped over his center's foot. He may have. He may not have. Doesn't matter because right here in this frame, he is being driven backwards. He is off balance. He is being
Yeah.
driven backwards.
He's already going to the ground right here.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly. And if he doesn't go to the ground for whatever reason, he is going to be pushed back into his quarterback. So it doesn't matter. It is unacceptable either way. He is being bullied right here because he is off balance. And you cannot, as a guard, you cannot afford to be off balance at almost any point in the rep. And that's it's kind of unfair, but this is why it's not like Madden with offensive lines. A guard does not have the same skill set as a tackle. They're not tasked with the same exact thing. For a guard, you have to be a big, sturdy tree. And that's why you'll notice guards are big, sturdy trees. And tackles tend to be more athletic, not necessarily more leaner, but more wider because arm length. I
Better
mean,
with
wider.
footwork. Yeah, bigger wingspan.
Yes, wingspan, not necessarily girth, if you want to call it, of player, but like wider. They can get wider because they need to be. They got to get ready for the edge. They got to cover more ground, and guards don't need to do that, but they do need to eat their space better. Whereas tackles need to be more free. So
Yeah.
with the guard, you cannot afford to be off balance. You're kind of you. I don't want to say you're tasked with less as a guard because I don't know if that's fair to say, but the one drawback of that is even though your job is more clear, I think that is fair to say. As a guard, your job is more clear cut. You do have to you cannot be off balance at really any point. Tackle has to do all sorts of things. The edge rusher is look at all this space with number 70 out there on the edge, right? That is a difficult thing to do. You don't know what the hell the edge rusher is going to do. There's so many things they could do. Whereas the
Yeah.
defensive tackle with 77, there's only so much he can do because they're in very congested space, right?
I ain't gonna lie, 70 in a compromising situation on this script on this screenshot too, bro. 24 or 74, whatever the number is, he can dip under. He can just fucking swipe his hands away and go around him. But you got 26 right here ready to help 70 if, anything happens weirdly on that.
That's why as a tackle, man, it's hard because a lot of reps are basically you're going to be in that position. Not necessarily because I agree that this tackle and this rep might be a little off right here, but it's going to be like that on almost every play. Whereas the edge rusher has all that space and it's a one on one, and the edge rusher can do almost anything. You just got to be ready for it as a tackle, and that's
Yeah.
almost unfair.
But
But
we have seen the end of this rep, and 70 does win his win his responsibility right here. I
yes,
mean, even though he's looking like he's in a compromising situation right here, if you're a tackle and you have somebody, especially when they go QB containing their the whole plan is for them to get wide on you, you're going to look like you're losing that rep in this situation every single time. It's what you do with that second move that matters.
absolutely, absolutely. And there's a reason why we're talking so much about this, and it's because, as Dre said, you can say the quote.
Wish there was a way we can. I wish there's a way we can know how aware Cooper Rush is.
Not that.
What quote?
From your GM, from DeCosta. Was it DeCosta?
From Todd Munkin. Todd
Munkin.
Munkin said you cannot use one clip to describe who a player is. And I just argue with when the clip is this bad, it shows you who a guy is. Again, this is a preseason game, right? These are threes and fours. Maybe some twos are in here. Nobody is really playing their ones outside of us. Offensive line, you don't really have too many threes and fours that can play position. Fa'alele was a starter for us last year. I don't know how we did it. Got as far as we did with him starting like this. But yeah, Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, said you can't use one rep to show what a player is. But when you get bullied that bad, I'm sorry. I question a dog in you.
Well, the thing is, the technique is the technique, right? So that technique cannot stay. It can't be a thing. So when we're talking about you can't use one rep to judge a player. If we're talking about a receiver, they drop a ball, true. If we're talking about they run a bad route, that's true. If we're talking about this player, I can't even say his name. That's why I'm not even trying to say
Daniel Faalele.
Yes. So if he's in a fine technique or if he's in a better technique and he gets beat, I would still agree. Fine, he got beat. Learn from it. If you're going to get beat, preseason is certainly the time to get beat and learn from it. I would agree with that. But and I still agree with don't judge this player off of this one rep to an extent. But this rep is the technique is so bad, and it's not that he's getting beat because the other player is just better necessarily. It's because this technique was never going to win. No matter what the defender did, the defender was going to win. The defender could have done anything, he was going to win, and that is the problem with this rep. And that is why you can say, hey, this is only one rep, but this cannot happen. This cannot be a thing because you will never block anybody doing this. You won't. It's physically impossible.
He never gets narrow, bro. Well, he gets narrow right there for a second, and then he's wide again. Come on, man.
Now I do want to say this. What I said earlier is if you're a guard, you can't do that, right? If you're a tackle, you almost have to do that, as we said
Right.
in 70. Now, I will say that we watched a clip earlier, and he was playing tackle. Now, is there something that in his head, like it was kind of he was used to moving like a tackle, or he was kind of getting himself ready to move like a tackle? So on this rep, he was trying to move like a tackle, and then it's like, oh,
well,
shit,
this
I'm
rep
actually playing guard.
came first. This was the Ravens' first offensive drive, and he was playing guard that entire drive. So this rep came first, and he's normally a right guard. Like, he doesn't play tackle that often, and I think that they only moved him to tackle is because we're playing our ones and twos, and he's probably the backup tackle in a situation our starter gets hurt. So I'm thinking that's why he was playing tackle on the other rep, but he's normally a guard. You could be right. Maybe, whatever's happening in practice translated to this rep right here, thinking like a tackle instead of a guard on this rep, because it does look like if you look at 70 and 77, the movements are pretty similar.
Yes, yeah, very, very. And they're doing almost the
Look
same
at that.
exact thing, yes.
Almost the same exact thing, which 70 is doing the right thing. 77 is not in this situation.
And if you're wondering how, like, if 77 is not doing the right thing, what should you be doing? If, like, my explanation wasn't clear enough, if you watch 72 on the other side, you will see how he's being very firm. This whole set, he's not going backwards. There's no reason to go backwards. You don't go backwards. And 72 is doing the same thing, being that he has to shift to get to his guy. He has to shift even more so. But it doesn't matter. He's still staying firm and he's still handling his business. And that's how you have to play guard. And
look at that outside leg on 72. It's planted in a way for him to have leverage. I know you can barely see it with 26 in a way, but on 77, look at that. He's standing straight up. No bend, no lean, no attempt at trying to get any leverage on this play. Like, come on.
And at that point, you lost. And no matter who you are, as proven by, what did you say? It was 380 pounds?
380 fucking pounds, and it's in the dirt.
Yeah, if you get stood up like that at that point at 380 pounds, pretty much anybody is getting stood up at that point. You lost. At that point, you lost. It is what it is. So you got to play more like 72. You'll notice even 72 let it play one more time. Just watch 72 the whole way. The whole time, he's standing firm. His guy sheds off of him. He's still standing firm. Look, see, his guy's gone. Center takes him, whatever, or maybe that's the running back. I don't know. I'd have to see it again. But anyway, his guy's gone. His guy's on to a new blocker. It is the center. And he's still standing firm in that same exact position.
Yeah, and because he has so much control of 72 is who I'm talking about. Because he has so much control of the situation, he was able to communicate to his center, "Hey, he's shedding me. You pick him up."
Now there are exceptions to what I'm saying about like the guard has to play like this. Normally, when you have like a quick throw or something to the other side, or even to that side, you're trying to just draw the defense in, right?
Yeah,
and so that way you can have a quick throw. This isn't that though, as you can see how it ends. It ends in a sack. And Cooper Rush, he's not looking to throw the ball immediately at all, right?
And if he was, to your point, look at 81 do that chip block. If this was supposed to be a quick throw, 81 would be hot right there. He wouldn't chip block.
Yes.
Look at that. See that? That won't happen if this is supposed to be a hot throw. Because 81 would have been the hot read there, him or 26, and 26 stayed in the block.
Yeah, so none of this can happen. This wasn't a play where the defense gets drawn in at all. This was just, I mean, this as bad as it gets of a rep. It really was. Now, I do want to preface this by saying again, I do believe in this is one rep, but I do also believe, although it's one rep, you have to be like, hey, this cannot happen. But this doesn't have to define his career, is what I'm trying to say. This does not have to define the dude's career.
I mean,
So
ironically enough, he was our starting right guard last year. We made it all the way to the divisional championship with him there. We went what was our record? What?
I
I don't
have
even
no clue.
remember.
I think he lost like 4 games, maybe
4 games, maybe. 5 games,
maybe.
maybe.
I
So I
think
mean,
5.
it was definitely serviceable, but I don't know. Going back to some of those plays that Lamar had to make, where he was basically stiff arming defensive ends, it was probably Alele's fault.
I know one team y'all lost to.
Yeah, I know one team we lost to too. Shut the fuck up. All right, so
You baby.
we gotta stop ripping on Daniel Fa'alele, because Todd Monken don't like it.
I also want to say, and I think you agree with this, we'll probably start doing a little more of these film breakdowns. This is literally one clip, but I think we
Yeah,
will do more of these where we can talk about it and we can kind of break down what's going to happen. Not just say, hey, this is bad, because clearly you can tell by the ending this shouldn't have happened, but we can kind of explain why this did happen and why this shouldn't have happened, so you guys can not only get a breakdown, but maybe you can like know what to look for when you do film watching or whatever, or when you watch a game. When we do film watching, we go back and watch, like, not just this clip, but like we actually go back and watch full games. But just during the game, you guys might be able to see like, oh, my guard shouldn't be doing that, like, because there's a difference between getting beat because you got beat and getting beat because you beat yourself. He beat himself.
yeah.
Like,
Like,
he beat himself.
like the defender in this will get no points because he didn't technically win this rep. Fa'alele just lost it and lost it bad.
Bad.
And I will say this, because if I go back and I piece together every single Fa'alele snaps, there was some run blocking where he won his reps. So, there's some good with Fa'alele, like, and I don't want to, say it's all bad, but this can never happen.
Never.
And that's why it's so bad. Yes, we get it, Todd Monken. He had some good reps in that game, particularly in a run game. But when you got guys like Keaton Mitchell, they make it look good anyway. I'm just saying. But you can never lose this bad, because this is how quarterbacks end up in the hospital.
Honestly, it only takes one.
It only takes one. And quarterback injuries happen usually inside the pocket, not outside the pocket. Contrary to what the national media would let you believe about running quarterbacks.
No, this is
Quarterback
true.
injuries happen inside the pocket. And they usually happen when offensive linemen are put on their ass and like that.
I'm gonna say, like, it honestly, it only takes one. As a Raider guy, 2016 Raiders are 12-2. Raider fans are gonna hate me for bringing
Derek
this up.
Carr was in the MVP, leading the
leading.
MVP race.
And he still got MVP votes, by the way. And he missed the last 2 games in the playoffs, and he still got MVP votes. So like, he's really leading. But anyway, Donald Penn, I believe it was his first sack of the year he gave up, and it was the one. Derek Carr was out for the rest of the year, and Raiders didn't score a touchdown in either of their 2 remaining games. Not one touchdown. They got to the playoffs. They played the Texans, who were the worst team in the playoffs for all intents and purposes, and got destroyed. And then Texans, moved on, and they got destroyed the next round because they probably shouldn't have been in the playoffs to begin with. But
Who's
it only
the
takes
team
one.
that destroyed them in that next round?
The Ravens? Was it? I didn't remember.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, it only takes one. That was Penn's first. And I remember Donald Penn, after that sack, he was so in his head. The rest of his career kind of fizzled out because he was so in his head. And, fans kind of let him have it undeservingly because, I mean, at the end of the day, you give up one sack for the season. Like, you had an amazing season, but it was that one sack, man. It was the one that changed everything. So it just takes one.
Yeah. So, well, obviously, this can't happen, and I cannot express that enough. Again, if I sit here and I piece together all of Daniel Fa'alele's clips, there's gonna be more bad than good, but there was some good. And whenever we actually planned to do this was a spur of the moment type of thing, because I was talking about the play and I was like, I just don't think that my words can express how bad it was, and even physically seeing it right now, it's still worse than what I could even ever conjure up as a thought, because you expect a 380-pound man to be tough to move. But he made it. He made it so that he was easily pushed over, and good thing it's Cooper Rush getting murdered back there and not my Lamar Jackson.
Jesus.
But yeah, again, it continues to bring up the question: where is Cooper Rush in his pocket awareness? Granted, any quarterback in this situation ain't getting out of it. Trust me, I
No,
don't
it
care.
was either you threw the ball out before this moment or you're going down. I mean, honestly, Cooper Rush did the best thing he could, which is just protect the
Yeah,
football.
just protect the football and get down.
So yeah, this would probably be a positive play on Cooper Rush's end.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the film, that was tucking it. Look at that. You see him cover the ball up as he knows I'm going down. I ain't got no chance. Smart play by the quarterback there.
Another thing about this, why this can't happen, as it happened, is because I'm noticing, as I haven't really been paying attention to the clip too much more outside of the offensive line, but now that I look at Cooper Rush, you will notice that when this ball is snapped, he's not even looking at that side. He's not looking at his right side at all. He's looking left. So the first read of this play was obviously to his left. I don't even think he goes right at all. He just sees that the
he
guys
doesn't have time. Look at this.
He just sees the guys in front of him, and he's like, "Oh shit!" That's the only reason why his head turns middle of the field at all is because
he's feeling the pressure. Awareness.
This play is designed for the left side. This is just horrible, and he probably would have went right. There did seem to be a Raven. I don't know who, 81, maybe.
Yeah, 81's going right.
Yeah, he was streaking across the field. He was open. I don't know if there's a cornerback out there because obviously it's not extending that far out. I don't know why there would be though. The cornerback.
No, the linebacker went with him. Look at 18. Picks him up.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not 18, is it? I can't see because I got us in front of it.
Point
Somebody
being,
went with him.
Point being, this should have never happened in any way. I mean, this was I don't even know how this did happen. I know how, but I don't know like how. Like I don't know how. It's insane. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into what we talked about, what we teased about. We got something new for you guys. We got something new for everybody, and I think you guys are gonna like this. We spent a long time working on this, and I am psyched to have Dre teamed up on this because he knows ball. Dre knows ball. He's one of the ball knowers, And we have created.
Let me toot my own horn a little bit right there. When he say Dre know ball, he ain't just talking about football. I know football, basketball, baseball, all the balls. I know them. No homo, no diddy.
That's my fault. I should never gassed him. That's on me.
But when it comes to a sport, we here. 62 guy, 82 guy, 17 guy, all the games I'm in it. Just saying.
It is true. Saying. It is true. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It is true. But we have created a scouting company. It is gonna be a company, and listen, I'm gonna let y'all. I'm gonna say what it is. This is gonna be the first peek to the public, and this is gonna be something that we eventually move to a subscription model, just like everything else. But we are, as soon as we launch this, not counting from today, but as soon as we launch this, we're probably gonna give this free, completely free. And everything that we do, there's going to be nothing that's you got to pay for, I would imagine, in the first, I would say, half a year. Just so everybody knows what this is about. Everybody can get familiar with it. Everybody can see how in-depth this is. Everybody can see that this is truly, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, the most superior platform of scouting, analytical work, and all of that on the internet, and I don't even think it's close. This is something that I don't even think it really has a rival to because it's so complex and it's so detailed and all of this. If there's anything, I would say it's probably Pro Football Focus, but I really don't even think that they're the same. I think that they coexist just fine and they're not really rivals at all. I don't even think it's the same. But if there is a competitor, it would probably be that. Anyway, like I said, you guys are going to get this for free. What this is this is analytical brand, and not only analytical, this is scouting. We got a whole scouting repertoire, a whole scouting process, how we do this. I am going to focus on quarterbacks as we do this because quarterbacks are going to be the first position we roll out, and it translates to every position anyway, so it doesn't even matter what position I do. We're going to do quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, offensive line, defensive linemen, edge rushers, the whole off-ball linebacker. Everything, and we're labeling positions. This is the thing with this. We have done every single thing in the eyes of how a scout scouts for their team and how a coach builds their team. Every position we labeled, every thing we know about a player, every schematic fit, every archetype, we're going to get into those a little bit. We have done this specifically in the eyes of how coaches and scouts build their teams. And this is done so fans can it bridges the gap with fans, and fans can kind of see it, and they can get more familiar with players, and they can see who they might want on their team come draft day or just free agency, or just, maybe your team picks up a player that you don't really know that much about. I mean, face it, I've been there. I've been the deputy editor of a company that covers the Raiders, and there have been plenty of times where the Raiders sign a player who I've never even heard of, so we've all been there. So we got you covered with all that. And let me just say, I'm not going to be there again after the system is up, because, man, we're doing every player. As far as it goes in college, it might be a little hard to do because there's quite a bit of players, but we're going to do our best. And as time goes on, we probably will get to just about every player. Anyway, this is how we're going to do this. Like I said, this is going to translate to every position. We're going to do every position. It all starts with the grade. It all starts with grading attributes. We focused on relevant attributes to every position. With the quarterback position, there's 9 that we grade. I'm not going to get into them, but when the site is up, when everything is up, you will see for yourself what they are. Now, every position, the reason why we're grading them is because they have some sort of super relevance to everything that a quarterback does, whether it's one thing a quarterback does or whether it's all things a quarterback does. And I'm not talking about you watch their film and it's super relevant in this way. I'm talking about, again, in the eyes of scouts, in the eyes of coaches, what is super relevant to their schemes, what is super relevant to archetypes, to what type of quarterback they are. That's what I'm talking about, what type of player they are. Every single stat is super relevant to that we're grading. So we give them a grade. It's 0 to 100. Give them a grade, right? Then we shift that off to the side. That is not how we're getting to our overall grade on a player after we do that. Okay? Then after that, we go to archetypes. Now, archetypes are basically the type of player that the player is. I want to stress that this has to do with what the player wants to be, the tendencies the player has, and how the player predicates their game. It is not what the player's best thing should be based on their skill set. It has nothing to do with that. Because at the end of the day, we're going to take Gardner Minshew for an example as I say this. Gardner Minshew is a guy who tries to make magic happen. He tries to be an aggressor. He tries to play like Patrick Mahomes. He tries to play like Lamar Jackson. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Lamar Jackson, okay? But he tries to play like them. So it doesn't matter what his skill set is, because that's what he's trying to be every time he's on the field. And you should know that as a fan. You should know that as a scout. You should know that as a coach. That is what Gardner Minshew is trying to be. That's what he's basing his game around. So that's what matters the most. So once we identify the archetype, we have 4 archetypes for quarterbacks. We have dual threats, we have pocket passers, aggressors, and operators. Aggressor is a guy like Lamar and Patrick Mahomes, who they're looking for, I don't want to say they're looking for the home run play, but they kind of are at the same time. I'm not saying that they're just throwing it all to the side and they're like, whatever happens, I'm going for this big play. No, that's not true at all. But what I am saying, they play free. Okay, they play free, and they're an aggressor. I mean, I don't have to explain it to you. Looking at a guy if they're an aggressor or not. Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Gardner Minshew, like I said, it has nothing to do with their skill set. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, comes in all shapes and sizes. And then we got operator, who is basically a nice way of saying system quarterback, but it's better than that. It's not just you're a system quarterback. It's that you're doing exactly what the coach wants you to do. You're not trying to get too fancy. You're doing it the right way in the eyes of everybody. I'm talking your Dak Prescott's, and Dak Prescott's is a good quarterback. So this is not supposed to be an insult in any way. Brock Purdy, we're talking Brock Purdy. We're talking these types of guys. Jalen Hurts, okay? We're talking these types of guys. It's not an insult. It might sound like one. It is not an insult, I promise you.
Jalen Hurts, system quarterback?
Well, he plays within the system. Whatever the system asks of Jalen Hurts, he does it. And again, it's not
okay.
That he can't play without it.
So you're using true definition of a system quarterback, yes. Meaning I can put this quarterback in any kind of system and he can run that system specifically.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna stay on script, not yes. really, improvise a lot.
That is a better definition than mine. Stay on script. Operator stays on script, operates the script. That is a much better definition than mine. I love that you said that. So you can think of it like that.
Yeah, just because I do believe that pretty much every quarterback is a system quarterback, but You have some guys that just operate within the system, and then guys like Lamar, guys like Patrick Mahomes, guys like Josh Allen, who can make things happen outside of what the system scripted out for them. Those are the second look type of plays where you call a play, but then there's a second play within the play that has to happen in order for it to be successful. Or, when guys like Daniel Falalele get put on their ass and now it's time to run the scramble drill. Full circle.
Absolutely, absolutely. But when I say the word system quarterback, or the phrase rather, I'm probably going to say that a few times. I want to be clear. I do not use that as an insult. I don't believe that's an insult.
It's not an insult.
And I know it's really devolved into an insult, like, oh, he's a system quarterback. To me,
Tom Brady was a system quarterback.
To me, it just, and I would agree, it just means that you stay in the lane that was asked for you. You don't try to get too creative necessarily. You don't go off script. You stay on script. You do exactly what the coach says. Coach says this, you do it. You operate. And like I said, Jalen Hurts should be a top 10 quarterback. And I know Jalen Hurts has a lot of haters out there. And
hey, if you want to a WNBA game soon, 50% off of dildos at Adam and Eve shop.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, Jalen Hurts.
The fucking advertisements I get on X right now is crazy, bro.
So yeah, so what we do is we give them an archetype, right? One of those 4 archetypes. And then every archetype, it has the attributes. Some are more relevant than others. And that's what I say when I go back to all the attributes that we have graded, that we have listed for every position. They have to be very relevant to an archetype or to a schematic fit, like what the coaches are asking for us to grade it. Or else, why would we grade it? It doesn't really matter that much, right? So, for example, if you are a dual threat quarterback, what matters most is your football IQ, your mobility, your accuracy, your arm talent. These things matter the most for dual threat quarterbacks. And again, dual threat it's the way they play. So like Lamar, he has the skill set to be a dual threat. Obviously, you think of Lamar, you probably think of dual, but he's an aggressor. He doesn't play like a dual threat. He's not like, maybe I'll run, maybe I'll pass. No, he's an aggressor. He's like whatever it calls for. That's Lamar. That it's whatever it calls for. He's down to do. And maybe that should be more so the definition of aggressor. And that's Lamar. That's why Lamar is not a dual threat. But anyway, and then you got pocket passer. What's most important for a pocket passer? Your pocket presence, your ability to go through your progressions, your accuracy, your arm talent, and your football IQ. What's not that important? Mobility. That's another thing. There's things that aren't important to every archetype. Dual threat, going through your progressions isn't that important because you're a dual threat. You just run. You don't go through your progressions. You run. And if you didn't do that, well, you'd probably be a pocket passer more than you'd be a dual threat, if any of that makes sense. So we narrow it down like that. Aggressor, what matters the most? Mobility, you got to be mobile. You got to have the arm talent. You got to have the football IQ, arm strength, read progressions, and toughness. We're talking mental toughness. You got to have the toughness in your head to be like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it. Think Eli Manning. Eli Manning didn't give a crap. He got out there, whatever had to be done. You cannot be in your own head because it's like we talked about earlier in this episode. Like we got the Quinn Ewers who have all the talent, but they're in their head. They don't have the mental toughness yet. Okay? And they may not ever get it, but you have to have that toughness to be an aggressor. Direct translation. And when you're an operator, your pre-snap read matters a lot. Your football IQ matters a lot. Your accuracy matters a lot. Your pocket presence matters a lot. Your arm talent and your arm strength do not matter as much because that's why you do stay in the system, because you don't have the arm talent to be an aggressor. You don't have the arm strength to be an aggressor either, really. So it's that sort of thing. And we put multipliers on these things. We put multipliers on these things to give an accurate grade on players because it's not just about your overall attributes. It matters why those attributes are relevant based on the player you are. Because mobility might not matter. If you're a pocket passer, why does your mobility have to matter? It doesn't. It doesn't matter because if it mattered, you'd probably be a dual threat quarterback. You wouldn't be a pocket passer. Those are the things that we've done that make us very unique to very accurately assess a player's grade and make sure the most relevant attributes are being counted. You got anything, Dre, before we move on to the next thing? Because I'm talking a lot here.
Just wanted to in that explanation of what the thing is, we talked a lot about quarterbacks. I want to know.
Yeah, so other positions, it's really the same thing. We have archetypes. So we have our relevant grades for every position. Take running backs, for example, and then we'll grade whatever we find is relevant. Off the top of my head, everything is pretty much programmed already. But off the top of my head, I really can't think of too many, to be honest with you. Not that it matters because I have the quarterbacks right in front of me and I didn't read them off. So, but anyway, then we go to the archetypes. For archetypes, for example, we have we archetypes are basically going to be your power back, scat back, etc., that sort of thing. There's going to be more than just that, and that's going to define what the player wants to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do the relevant attributes based on them. For example, if you're a power back, your strength is going to matter a lot more than your quickness, and if you're a scat back, your quickness is going to matter a lot more than your power. And those things will be formulated in that way. So that way, if you're a scat back, you will see that we're putting these multipliers, we're putting emphasis. When I say multipliers, I mean emphasis, and it literally is a multiplier in the formula. We're putting the emphasis on the relevant things based on the player that you want to be that makes it relevant. And using these things, this is very important because when I go back to Gardner Minshew and I keep circling back to him, he is an aggressor. He doesn't have the skill set for the aggressor. So when we go through the relevant things that we highlight for aggressors, it's going to tank his stock. Because when you look at Gardner Minshew as a player, you could say like, well, all of his attributes are kind of around the 70s. He's probably a 70 overall grade, right? He doesn't play like a 70 overall grade at all. And I think it is fair to say that all of his attributes are floating around 70 and that using that he should be graded around 70. But he doesn't play like that at all. He plays much worse. No offense to Gardner Minshew. I apologize. But that's the reality. And we have done this so that way when we're talking about this and we are talking about Gardner Minshew as this type of quarterback, the things that you need to be good at to be as successful as this type of quarterback, he is not good at. So that is why he's going to be graded poorly. And then you will watch the film and you will be like, oh, this makes sense that he is graded this poorly because he is not this type of quarterback. And that's why we've done it like that. Conversely, if you're Patrick Mahomes, you are very good at these things, you're going to be graded very high. Same for Lamar, et cetera, et cetera. And to go back to what you said about running backs, we got the archetypes. And then after the archetypes, we have something that we call schematic fits. Now, schematic fits are different than archetypes for two reasons. Number one is this does not have anything to do with what the player wants to be. This is 100% about the attributes and the skills. Nothing to do about what the player wants to be. And the second thing is you get graded for every single schematic fit, every single basic scheme that coaches run. Now, we didn't get too in depth with these. We kind of just did the cookie cutter ones. Like, for example, for quarterbacks, we have improvisational. Think Lamar, think Patrick Mahomes. That's when your coach is kind of just like, you got the green light. You know, it's like whatever you want to do, you're the guy, man. You're leading this offense. So you got those kind of quarterbacks. You got the quick thrower ones. Think Jalen Hurts again. I'll go back to him. Think Tom Brady. You brought up Tom Brady before, and we talked about this with like Jackson Dart too. Ball in your hands, ball out of your hands. Ball in your hands, ball out of your hands. Quick thrower, right?
Yes.
Then you got your pinpoint passer. Pinpoint passers, just think Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, think Jared Goff in Detroit. Basically, your job is to just deliver an accurate ball to your guys, not necessarily very quickly. You know, on some occasions, certainly, you know, Jared Goff, quick pass to Amon Ra is not too uncommon. But overall, Jared
Goff's heavily relying on the timing throws.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a quick throw, but timing throws are very important to Jared Goff's game.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's just basically get the ball to your weapons is the pinpoint passer. And then you got your gunslinger. We all know what gunslinger is. It seems every
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and again, these are the schematic fits are what the coaches kind of ask for the quarterback to do. The coaches kind of ask Joe Burrow to be a gunslinger or improviser, absolutely. And that's why these are going to be as such and why we're going to grade them every single one. We're going to grade how the player would perform in every single system all simultaneously. Because for exactly what I just said, sometimes you want Joe Burrow to be a gunslinger. Sometimes you want him to be an improviser. Well, now you can see how he grades in both. And you can see, like, if you're looking for a quarterback who can do both or can excel in both of those kind of schematic fits, well, this guy might not be your guy. But Joe Burrow, this guy is your guy. And that's why we're doing it like that. So that way, because again, we're doing it all in the eyes of scouts and coaches. This is how they build teams. So we get all that done. And these schematic fits, just like archetypes, they all have relevant attributes that have multipliers. So that way we can accurately assess how they will do in this system. For example, improvisational guys, we're highlighting football IQ, arm talent, mobility. Arm talent, I already said. Sorry. Quick thrower, we're highlighting pre-snap read, football IQ, and accuracy. Pinpoint passer, we're highlighting accuracy, read progression, and pocket presence. things that matter the most to these things. So that way we can accurately say, hey, as this kind of guy, you'll probably do well in these systems. You probably will not do well in these systems based on your attributes, based on the relevant ones that matter the most. And that's what we have done to get to a player and assess their overall grade based on what they are and assess how they will do, most likely, right? Because you never really know for sure. If you knew for sure, you'd be a billionaire. How they will likely do in every single system that is commonly ran. You know, some coaches do like a more niche system, like Josh McDaniels comes to mind, that only Josh McDaniels runs, and it's very, very exclusive to Josh McDaniels. We're not wasting our time with that. That's one of one. You know, Josh McDaniels does his own scouting anyway. Fine, cool. You don't need us, Josh. Whatever. But anyway, so that's what we've done. And then at the end of it, we have like a little thing we call check the boxes. It's basically we have positives. Is this guy a leader? Does he show some signs of leadership? Check it if it applies. Does he have the clutch gene? Does he come up when it matters most? Check it if it applies. Is he a QB sneak quarterback? Now, that doesn't mean mobile. Think Tom Brady. Tom Brady couldn't. He wasn't mobile at all, but he was as effective as it gets with the quarterback sneak. Can he pull off the quarterback sneak? Check yes if it applies. Is he coachable? Check yes if it applies. Does he have ideal size? Check yes if it applies. Then you got negatives. Does he have off-field concerns? Check yes if it applies. Does he have injury concerns? Check yes if it applies. That sort of thing we've done. So that way you can see, and these also, on the things that we're checking, you'll notice like they matter, but you can't grade them. Like leadership, how do you grade leadership? How do you differentiate who's more of a leader? You know, like you're either a leader or you're not. You know, how do
Right.
you? So,
Because I was about to say, if I say Anthony Richardson.
well, you know, they wouldn't be there, but for Anthony Richardson, he'd have the QB sneak. He would have the size. He would certainly have the size. And to be honest with you, I wasn't too familiar with Anthony Richardson coming out of college. Although I was at like that actual combine in
I could
person,
have
so I
told
did.
you I don't understand how the hell, other than him having the size, I don't understand how he was a first round draft pick.
But yeah, that's, and at this point of his career, he would obviously have injury concerns, Anthony Richardson. Then we just do like what sticks out the most. What sticks out the most in a positive and negative way. Now these are also important because take Shador Sanders. Shador's biggest thing that was the most concerning coming out of college was he holds the ball too long. But there's no like we don't have a thing for that to grade. You know that would be stupid to grade like how long he holds the ball. We're gonna give that a grade. That doesn't make any fucking sense. You know so we would be able to note that so that way you could see like after you go through our grades you see our summary of this guy and you can see hey this guy holds the ball for way longer than he should, and as a coach you might be like oh, shit like I don't know if I can work with that. You might also be like who cares, we can correct that. You know that's probably what most people would think, but it's important we note that anyway so that way we're very transparent. Then we have like a quick little description and summary of every player just in case there's anything else that we missed. And that's how that portion is going to go. I know that was very long. I know that you may not have soaked all that up, but when it comes to life and it is going to launch very soon, we will be sure to link you guys on all of this. There's so much stats and analytics, and the analytics is a different subject. That is going to kind of be putting players in a box and creating stats that aren't actual analytics. You know, analytics aren't actual stats, but they are at the same time. That kind of eliminate the need for teammates because as a quarterback, every single stat you have is derived from your teammates. Your passing yards, whether the receiver caught it or not, you know, that's all a product of that, no matter how accurate you place the ball. And same thing with the receptions and all that shit, right? Touchdowns, same thing. We're trying to eliminate and basically be like, as long as you as a quarterback did this right, did your job right, then this should have been a touchdown or shouldn't have been a touchdown, whatever, you know, based on what you did. Doesn't matter if your teammate actually caught it or not. It just matters based on what you did. If this should have happened, you know, we're counting this. So that way people can look at it and be like, this guy should have thrown this many touchdowns, for example, or this guy should have had this many interceptions, for example, or this guy on third down, he was this effective based on what he did, for example, that sort of thing, right? And we actually are only going to do that with quarterbacks to start. We're only going to have quarterback stats, but just so everybody can have a clear representation of how good their quarterback is doing or how good every quarterback is doing entering the draft, whatever, in the NFL right now, whatever, based on their own individual performance without their teammate needing to do something. And that is going to be set up, like I said, in the near future. And we're very excited to really offer it for free for like I said, for I think like a half a year, maybe even longer, just so everybody can see what it is and they don't have to listen to my fucking shitty explanation where I probably didn't explain shit even half as good as I could have or should have. And you can see it for yourself. Because let's be honest, at the end of the day, this is a lot of information to soak up. It would be much easier to just see it, for you to just see it. And that's what we're going to give you. So you guys could just see it. And that's what I got on that. Now, I'm sorry that I took up all our time.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. I just want to mention that we are going into a rebrand phase. We're not changing the name of anything or anything. We're just adding to it because along with this new measuring system that Alex is putting together. Again, I'm still trying to understand it myself to a point, but it's going to be great for, having a newer way to evaluate talent. But we're transitioning from just being Context Matters, the podcast, to being presented by Suited. I have to, put that out there because you guys are going to start hearing suited a lot because that's where the website, going to be the website and the company that all of this is going to be under going forward once we get everything in place. So I just want to make sure that we mention that. I probably didn't mention it in the right way, and we'll get it all cleaned up in the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't mention it at all. So
I know that's why I'm mentioning it for you. But yeah, I don't know. Did you have anything else on that?
And no, just like you said, the company is called Suited. The website is going to be suitedfootball.com. So get ready for that. Suited Football. It's spelled the regular way that you would spell suited, the regular way you'd spell football. There's nothing, no gimmicks, no tricks about it.
Yeah, so if you see Suited Presents Context Matters, that is still us. We're just not going to be only Context Matters anymore. We don't want to lose the Context Matters because the whole point of our show is to provide context to certain things, such as like what we did with the Daniel Fa'alele clip. We talked about what was happening around him, what was his responsibility, what his teammates should be doing, such as the right tackle in that situation, the quarterback in that situation, 26 the running back in that situation. We even pointed out the chip block on the other side by 81, the wide receiver. That's the context surrounding the play that puts that whole picture together of why Daniel Fa'alele's rep was so bad. With that, we're going to take another quick break. Just because this portion of the show ran 54 minutes, I did not expect that, but it's okay. We got the time. Shouts out to moms, but we got the time. So we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be back with our preview of preseason week 2.
Yes, sir.
All right. Perfect. All right. Contextuals, we are back. Dre Kamikaze here with Alex Monfreda. This is Context Matters, and we are previewing preseason week 2. To start, why do I not see myself here? Let's take another picture there. All right, perfect. Now I see myself there. Good. All right. So to start, so far no games on Thursday. Oh, such a shame. I like having football games on Thursdays because the Red Sox are usually off on Thursdays, so it kind of fills my need for sport that day. But we'll start with Friday, August 15th at 7 p.m. We have the Titans at the Atlanta Falcons. This would be more than likely Cam Ward's second NFL preseason action. Obviously, we're all very intrigued to see what these rookie quarterbacks do, especially the ones that will actually be playing. I do think Cam Ward is going to be the only rookie quarterback to start the season with this team. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going there, see what Michael Penix's development looks like if he's actually playing there. Next up Friday, we got the Chiefs at the Seahawks. Chiefs are in your division. Let's talk about them.
Who is it? Chief Seahawks?
Yeah, Chiefs Seahawks.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like there's really not too much to watch, especially with. Well, the thing is, who is the Chiefs' first round pick? Josh Simmons, right? Your boy from OSU.
OSU, yeah.
Just a terrible school.
Of course, a Michigan fan would say that.
They said, bro, I typed in Josh Simmons. They said Josh Simmons' Love is Blind. He was on Love is Blind.
Really? Yeah, it was offensive lineman Josh Simmons. Yeah. So Josh Simmons, offensive lineman out of Ohio State. Outside of when it comes to the Ravens, I really don't even pay attention to offensive linemen. Since this is an Ohio kid, I do know who he is. Ohio State kid, I do know who he is and things like that. Really, on the Kansas City side, I don't think there's much to look forward to. They're not going to play any of the real starters. or anything like that. This game will mostly, if you're watching to see what the Seahawks have brewing.
Absolutely.
Really.
I would watch for Jalen Milrow. So the thing about the Chiefs is it's not even like, depth obviously matters a lot, but when you're the Chiefs, man, you have like you're spearheaded by Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, the stars of the stars, like the top tier stars, and they're carrying the team. They're what you got to look for, Andy Reid, and I mean, I guess I don't even think Andy Reid's gonna go anything crazy. I mean, Andy Reid and the Chiefs have an established system, like they don't have to test too many new things or whatever. So I wouldn't as far as Chiefs side, not too much to soak in there. But no, I agree with watching it for Seattle.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the only reason why it's mentioned here. Dolphins, Lions, we can skip that. There's nothing there. Those are two pretty much established teams starter wise, so we'll just be watching backups figure it out. Brown Eagles, that's going to be an important one to talk about because Shador did start and play most of the first game, if not all of it, right? Did Snoop ever come in? I don't remember if Snoop ever came in. But he
Yeah, he
probably
did. He
did.
did. He
He
did.
did. Okay, obvious. Yeah, he should have came in. But Browns versus Eagles, Shador might be out of this game or might not be ready to be able to participate in this game because he did suffer an oblique injury today. So we'll see what the reports are on that. We won't have anything for this show, but coming into next show, we'll know more. We probably won't even mention it because it'll be so far ahead in time. We'll be focusing more on preseason review and week 2 review, and then preseason week 3 preview, which is the final week of the preseason. So yeah, obviously Dolphins Lions are set. Packers and Colts. Colts have a QB battle. Anthony Richardson did dislocate his finger in a Ravens game. A really bad QB rep by him where he did not understand where his protections were and he got fucking murdered by David Ajabo because he didn't hit his hot read. So very interested to see what happens with the Colts with Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson competing for QB1 spot. Just
Daniel Jones did not look too bad either.
did not look terrible. Again, it was against the Ravens twos and threes, but that's still NFL talent. So Daniel Jones did not look bad. He was definitely a smarter quarterback than Anthony Richardson at that point.
I mean, the bar's low, but yeah.
You said it, I didn't.
So when I don't know if I said it on the show before, but when I watched Anthony Richardson live, like at the combine live, I said to a friend who I was there with, I was like, dude, there's gonna be I forgot what I called it, but basically, I thought people were gonna be confused about the position to play him at, quarterback controversy. I think I called it. Like I thought people were gonna want him to play receiver because I didn't see it. That didn't happen. And now, what are we? 3 years later, I feel like it should have happened. I feel like he probably could have done something as a receiver, maybe a tight end. Dude, he's so big. Like he's a massive human, and he uses that speed and size well. But like that's kind of it. He does have a rocket arm too, but it's like I mean, what's the point of having a rocket arm if you hit the broadside of a barn? Crazy enough, his deep ball is more accurate than his medium and short throws. But yeah. Anyway, what else we got?
All right. After that, we got Panthers at Texans. And the two basically solidified teams here. Bryce Young is poised for a breakout year.
Yes.
Poised for a breakout year. I'll say, not really a Bryce Young believer, but I do believe that he has not reached his ceiling just yet. So that's going to be interesting. Obviously, CJ Stroud, one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. We just need to see if Houston can find a way to protect him more and if their receivers can stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, they can make a deep playoff run. After that, you got Patriots, Vikings. Again, not much to look for here. I guess JJ McCarthy to see what he's looking like. Your boy, JJ.
Yes, Drake May.
And after that, we have the 49ers at the Raiders. And I'm going to pass that one over to you. See what you're looking for in that one.
What I'm looking for in this one is just more. I mean, it sounds kind of cliche because he's the guy we're all looking for, but I'm looking for more Ashton Genty. Like, I really am, man. They want him to get used to this.
He's not the guy I'm looking for. I'm looking for more Cam Miller. Shouts out to Cam Miller. Let me put my ticket in right now, too. Let me Cam Miller's on it.
Let me say, too, if Cam Miller balls out again, first of all, I don't think Aiden O'Connell's job as quarterback, too, is safe. I would not be surprised if he gets unloaded. I don't think he's very good. he's like my QB 13 heading into that year's draft class among quarterbacks. He's not this regime's guy. Like, he's not Pete Carroll's guy. He's not Chip Kelly's guy. And more than that, he doesn't fit what they like to do. Chip Kelly likes more. He likes their quarterbacks to play a little more free, maybe within the system, but be versatile. Be able to do a variety of things. That is so far from Aiden O'Connell. Like he has his role in this league as a backup, I'm sure. But I don't think with this team, if Cam Miller balls out again, it's pretty much cemented. I mean, Cam Miller was drafted for a reason. Like it wasn't because they have two quarterbacks who they love. Because keep in mind, it's not like Cam Miller was the biggest steal ever, and they're like, oh, I can't pass up on this. He's an FCS quarterback, and nothing. I'm not going to shit on FCS players. There's been some absolute legends of this game who have come from the FCS, but he wasn't like a highly touted guy on people's radar. And I like Cam Miller just fine. So this isn't to shit on Cam Miller at all, but it's just the reality of it, Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't have been selected if it wasn't, they weren't thinking about it,
All right. And after that, we have the Bucks at the Steelers. Interestingly enough, it's still only preseason game 2, so I don't really expect to see much of anything from either of these teams. Tomlin's a smart coach. He's usually keeping things close to the vest. He shows a vanilla defense and pretty standard offense. So not much to see there. Chargers, Rams, same thing here with Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton. You're not going to see much of what you would see in a regular season game out of these two teams. They're just too smart of a coach to show what they have going on, and there's nothing really to test here with, both of them have veteran quarterbacks at the helm that plan to start, so I don't really expect to see much there. Jets, Giants. With the Giants, I'm looking to see a little bit more of Jackson Dart. Again, Jackson Dart was my favorite quarterback in this draft. Out of this whole draft class, he was my number 1. So I'm looking to see more from him. Justin Fields, I do expect him to play. He's getting used to a new system and things like that. And he hasn't really solidified himself as a legitimate starting quarterback at any location. Even though he played pretty well last year in Pittsburgh before they set him down because they promised Russell Wilson a job. Fucking dumbasses. And then you got Cardinals, Broncos. Not much to look forward there. Jacksonville Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints. Cam Little, something to look forward to. We get another long kick from him. See how much they play Travis Hunter on offense and defense with the Jaguars. Probably there. And Tyler Shaw or Shuck.
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 It's Shuck.
There
For whatever weird reason, it's Shuck, but it is.
Sugar. So we'll be in action in this game. I'm interested to see how he's developing. We all expected Derek Carr to be the starting quarterback for the Saints. He has since retired, so there is a quarterback battle that Tyler is a part of. So I guess that would be the interesting watch there for the 17. And then you have Bills Bears. Bills are ass. Bears are asser. So there you go. And then we get our first Monday night preseason game. It'll be Bengals at the Commanders. Fuck both of these teams. Sorry. Somebody had to say it. I'm going to be the one to say it.
I don't think we're going to get much there either. Maybe Shamar. We might get to see Shamar. I think he played last week too. Maybe. I don't remember.
I don't know if he played. I don't think he played. But yeah, we're not going to get much out of that either. So not really a bunch of interesting games. And the real reason is because there's not a lot of QB battles, that we're looking at, throughout these games. Oh, and I didn't talk about Ravens Cowboys one because they're at the top of my screen because that's my team. Cooper Rush goes back to Dallas. Let's see if he can have a better performance against his former team. That's all I got for you there. Let's see if Daniel Falele can stay on his feet and off his ass this game. But if we go back to that rep, I don't even think he has the technique to be able to do so. So not really much to look forward to in this second week. We got the Travis Hunter playing both sides of the field thing. Cam Little being able to kick it probably the entire football field at some point. I'm hoping to see. But outside of that, everything's pretty standard, pretty preseason-y. So
it makes me wonder if they're gonna. So if you can hit a 70-yard field goal, like you can hit a 70-yard field goal, that's the end of it, right? It doesn't matter preseason practice. It really doesn't matter. If you can hit it, you can hit it. So the fact that now, that being said, the atmosphere, the pressure obviously is much different than in practice versus a game, whether preseason or regular season. But if you can hit it in a game, especially,
Yeah,
there,
where there's an actual pass rush or kick rush.
yes, then there's no reason you can't hit it in a regular season game. So it makes me wonder if they're gonna try. But I mean, what are the odds of making it? I don't know.
Why not try it, bro? I'm at this point. If we going into the half, we got a couple seconds, and it's an 80-yard kick. I'm giving them a chance.
I don't disagree.
I gotta see how long you can go because low key, if he can kick it from 75 to 80 yards, bro, Jacksonville is never out of a game if it's close.
I mean, honestly, it is an insane thought to kick it 70 yards. And I honestly think that as the years go on, this is just going to be, I don't want to say the norm. It's not going to be as surprising. I mean, think about it. It wasn't too long ago, like what 61, then 63 were the records, and it was like, oh, these aren't going to be touched. Mm-hmm. And then Justin Tucker comes, and in the meantime, too, there have been plenty of kicks. This is the thing. So obviously, when you make a kick, it doesn't matter how far you actually kicked it. It matters how far you needed to go for it to be a field goal, right?
Right.
There have been plenty of kicks in the meantime where they've been 60 something, 60 odd yards out, and it seems like the kick might have been good from 70, even though it wasn't actually the record of distance needed. But it could have been good from 70. It seems like there have been a few. And some years ago, I mean, 10 years ago, this was like, it would never be a thought if you could trot your kicker out there for a 70-yard field goal. It would never be a thought. And now it's like, I mean, still only one kicker is still the only one to technically do it, but it feels like there have been a handful of kickers to actually have the ball be 70 plus yards distance with their foot, and it's just insane to think that even though it's the first 70-yard field goal, like people have kicked the ball that distance before, kind of a few times now, and you just never would have thought of it 10 years ago. That would have been an insane thought to even have. And now people are fucking converting 70-yard field goals. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I need to say this. Shout outs to Travion Henderson, former Ohio State running back, now currently of the New England Patriots, opened their game with a 100-yard kick return touchdown. Just had to say that, Shouts out.
Yeah, he's gonna be a good one. He always was gonna be a good one. He's not Ashton Genty. I don't care about -1 yards. I don't give a shit about that. He ain't Ashton Genty, but he's gonna be good.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be good, and he may not be Ashton Genty, but he's definitely going to be good. But with that, we're going to wrap up our show today. We're probably at 3 hours.
Might need to be 2 episodes. We'll see.
Okay, no. I'm squeezing all of this in one episode because we're coming back next Wednesday. Same place, same time. We're going to get this out for Thursday before these games coming up tomorrow, and it's going to be great.
It is. There's going to be... All right, listen, next week, I promise y'all, if y'all stuck around this far, I promise y'all there's going to be more tape breakdowns and all that next week. We're going to have shit for you. It's not just going to be us yapping, especially not just going to be me yapping, because I yapped for like 15-minute segment somewhere in this. It ain't going to be that again, I promise y'all.
Yeah, so I'm glad we actually got to look at at least a clip of something that we discussed today, because that's kind of like what this show is geared towards, basically breaking down and showing you, the context of why things were either good or bad. In this situation today, we showed a bad rep. Maybe next week we have something where somebody did something that was beyond what we imagined they could do in a positive way, and we show that rep and explain to you, break it down why it was a good rep and things like that. So great show today. Let's get back together next week and put out another one. But with that, we're going to wrap it up.
Context matters.